What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Little Divine's Cosmic Portal. And I want to talk about a few things right now before we get into the next story or next little bit of story. Um, you guys seen the tsunami warnings and all the stuff that's going on in the world right now with the fires and the earthquakes and in diverse places and all the disaster and destruction and all these federal agents going in and busting these TikTok people and having children hidden underground layers and all kinds of stuff. It's crazy, and it just shows you what we're living in, the days that we're living in. The times and everything that's going on is wild, and I just want to. My heart goes out to all those people that are suffering and going through the things right now because it's hardcore, and the Lord's showing us, hey, I'm real, I'm here, it's going on, it's happening, just like the camera right now just got shook, he's shaking things up, he's making things better, we look at more sightings in the air, and everybody that's being harassed and bullied by all this witchcraft and these cults and covens and everything that's going on in this world. A lot of people don't like to hear about this stuff. They don't want to accept that it's real. The only thing they want to, and it's sad, really. It really is. I'm so thankful for enlightenment and for the awareness and coming to consciousness. It's man, I really thought I was going crazy there for a while. And a long time ago, back when I woke up and realized that life isn't what we think it is. We have these soul contracts and crowns itching right now. We have these soul contracts that we sign up for, and some of us, like the story I'm telling, it's just what I signed up for. It's not, feel bad for me, feel sorry for me or anything, but I do feel sorry. My heart goes out to the people that are suffering right now, and I, truly the only thing that I can do for you is pray for you, and see that God will pull you through it because He's pulled me through so many different times and so many different things, and you guys are blessed, you're loved, and I know that this is only gonna find a certain percentage of people. Hopefully, it reaches the world and people get to hear the story to see how a person comes from a situation that's just looks like there's just no end in sight to um, having a hope and a future, like Jeremiah 29:11. The Lord says that I come to give you a hope and a future, something to look forward to, something to be grateful for. And anyways, my heart goes out to the people that are suffering right now with all these things and the California coastlines, Hawaii, um, and the northern states, Washington and Oregon. I don't know if they're going to be affected by it or not. They said there's a 100-mile radius of the California border that's being affected right now by the 8.8 magnitude that hit Russia, and there was a 7.4 there a while back. Japan got hit by the tsunami, and it's headed our way. I've seen the alerts, and it's wild. And I've seen the tornadoes across the continent. In the United States, in various places. Places that you wouldn't think that a tornado would actually hit, but it does. Even you got Tornado Alley right there in the heartland, up through Ohio and Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas and Missouri and all that. Even on into Indiana and Illinois. Up into was it Michigan, and up there by the Loch Ness Monsters playground. And anyways, my heart really goes out to you guys, and I truly just want to send my condolences for your loss and for the things that you guys have gone through. And I truly pray for you that everything works out for you, because it will indeed. Just kind of like this story. So let's continue on with it, shall we? Alrighty then. After getting the permit, it was a return trip to the store, and Mr. Hall hired Erin as a stock boy. This was Erin's first real job, though he mowed yards and raked leaves and stuff like that for people around the town he used to live in when he had a home, or what he thought was a home anyways. Erin was told, "You still got to go to school tomorrow," by his grandma, "before you go to work. When you get out of school, then I'll take you to work." But Erin told his grandma he'd ride his bike. So with that, Erin said okay and shook his head with delight and said, "Yes, ma'am, I'll be here." Anyways, after this was the only time he had to be by himself and think now. And this only made time go by slower. So he stopped looking at the clock altogether and just waited for the bell to ring in between classes. Finally, it was time. Being the store was right up the street from the school, Erin rode his GT Dino, his prized possession, with Skyway mags, to work for the first time, not knowing this job would come to an end only a short time later because of Sly. In the meantime, though, he got to work and helped deliver groceries and milk to people's homes, mostly elderly folks, and a few rich people's houses, to where some of the ladies would say, "Well, aren't you cute? How old are you?" Because, truth be told, Erin looked younger than his age. He thought it was because he wasn't all that tall or something. Maybe he had short legs. Anyways, and didn't have a whole lot of self-esteem, because Sly always told him he was ugly, stupid, dumb, worthless, or a piece of, you know what, and other things. He thought that was normal, but his life was far from normal. So to be told, "Aren't you cute?" made him blush and whisper thank you, keeping his head down. See, Erin was a timid, shy, quiet boy. Not the sheltered type, just the type that's seen a lot of really bad things. Well, people said was bad things. Lots of drugs, bikers, women, drugs being used, sold, guns being sold, pointed at him, all types of stuff. That's not really normal, for kids at his age. Although more common than he realized at the time. So people being nice to him made him act weird, and he didn't understand why until later. Nonetheless, regardless how uncomfortable it made him, or was scary, he somehow always braved it on his own, learning how to go with the flow. Also really realizing that not everybody thought like him either. Erin liked when people was nice to him and said nice things, which showed him not all people was bad or mean. Anyways, Erin worked hard, helping with the deliveries and stocking shelves, spraying produce with water, and bagging groceries. He liked his job and was making money, which afforded him new clothes. Finally, the day came his driving test was scheduled for. Erin's grandma took him back down to the DMV in her gunboat of a car, a Chrysler New Yorker, painted gold, and the seats was like couches. So Erin's grandma got out and said, "Come on, let's go in and do this. It's time for you to get that license." Now, Erin had never driven her car before, but he didn't learn. But he did learn how to drive in a Chevy Love pickup. You know, the stick shift kind. Man, that was a challenge. The pickup though was a stick shift, not an automatic like his grandma's Chrysler, and It wasn't gunboaty either. So this made Aaron a little nervous because he didn't want to crash the car and fail his test at all. He wanted to make his grandma proud to show his gratefulness for all she was doing for him at the time. Now it was time to start the driving test, and the DMV guy got in on the passenger side with a clipboard and some papers on it, with a pen in his pocket and a cup of hot coffee in his hand. The DMV guy said, "Well, let's see here. Oh, yes, Aaron, are you ready, young man?" Aaron, nervous yet excited at the same time, said, "As I'll ever be, sir." The DMV guy laughed and said, "Okay then, I got one rule. I'll make it super easy for you. If you spill this coffee on me, you fail. But if you don't, well then, I might just let you pass, okay? You got it. You got it?" Aaron was even more nervous now and said, "Yes, sir. Don't spill the coffee. Got it." Aaron put on his seatbelt, but the DMV guy didn't. Apparently, he had his hands full, Aaron thought, and asked, "What now?" Being instructed to check the mirrors and start the car, Aaron and the DMV guy pulled away from the curb and left Aaron's grandma standing on the grass under the tree in her famous moo, smiling and doing a shooing motion as if to say, "You got this, now go. Make me proud." Aaron eased off the brake after putting it in gear, turned on his signal, and gently pushed the throttle. Wow, this car is a lot easier to drive, he thought, than that Chevy Love. Thankfully, the instructor didn't make him parallel park, probably because it was an emergency license. Aaron finally made it back to the DMV without spilling any of the coffee on the DMV guy, although there was a close call with a dog in a crosswalk, which started across the street after Erin was leaving the stop sign. Leaving DMV guy saying, "Well, at least the dog's smart enough to use a crosswalk and didn't become road pizza." Erin laughed at this, too, and was glad he'd seen the dog before things got out of hand and not spilling the coffee all over the DMV guy. Erin was relieved he passed and got his paper license. After this, Erin saved some more money and bought a 1978 Toyota Corolla for $500 from Punky, who came to see his mom, Erin's G-Mom, one day. And Erin's grandma had a talk with Punky, her son, while Erin was at work. When Erin got home to his grandma's house, the car was in the driveway next to the Chevy Love that ended up being Erin's older stepbrother, Jay's truck. Erin was wondering whose car it was as he came up to the driveway on his bike. Punky said Punky and Erin's grandma was sitting at the table in the kitchen, and boy was she reading him the right act. Erin seen him through the window and decided whatever it was he didn't want to interrupt, so he went to look at the Toyota instead. It was painted white with royal blue interior. As he opened the door, the smell of cigarettes punched him in the face as he spit and said, "Yuck." Erin liked the car though. It was really nice and well taken care of, besides smelling like an ashtray. Finally, Punky and Erin's grandma came outside, and Erin's grandma said, "Come on, son. Time for you to go back home with your dad." Erin didn't want to go, but knew he had to regardless. Erin, after getting his stuff and putting his bike in the trunk, leaving it sticking out because it wouldn't fit all the way, gave his grandma a hug and told her thank you for all she had done for him. Then got in the car, and on the passenger side, Punky said, I'm tired, why don't you drive since you got your license now? Erin climbed in the driver's seat as Punky got in on the passenger side. Punky said, let's see what you got or what you can do, kid. Let's go to the gas station, then I'll see if you can drive good enough to get me home, as he laughed to himself. Erin just looked at Punky like, are you high? Then fired up the Toyota and drove to the station. Punky had Erin put gas in the car and get some soda pop. Erin was wondering what was going on, but didn't dare ask. On the way back to the house where Punky, the witch, Sly, and Shadow lived, Erin didn't consider that place home anymore. Pulling in the driveway, his uneasy feeling in the pit of his stomach kind of went away, seeing Sly wasn't home, which made it a little easier. After getting his stuff out of the car, he noticed his room had been moved to another room in the house. It had been a while since he'd been there, and the house looked different, as if to say life goes on whether you're here or not, kid. So get used to it, is how Erin felt anyways. After getting settled in again, Punky asked Erin, how do you like the car? Erin said it's nice, but it smells like cigarettes. Punky said, yeah, I bought it from an older lady and she smoked in it, but just had it reupholstered about a year ago. I only paid $500 for it. Erin asked, can I buy it so I can go to school and work, then back here, because he didn't want to ride his bike to town and because he hated riding the bus. Punky said, tell you what, just give me what I paid for it and you can have it. Erin was surprised he'd said yes. Punky even kept the car on his insurance but never got around to doing a title swap, which Erin didn't know anything about that stuff until later, after he got kicked out again, shortly after Sly found out not only did Erin have a license but a job, to which Sly showed up to one day and started making trouble with the cashier, Joy, who didn't care for Sly because of something that happened in high school, apparently. Sly was one of the mean girls, go figure, right? Nonetheless, Erin was called up front to help bag groceries when he froze in place, seeing Sly at the register as she was fighting with Joy. Sly was yelling, I want to speak with the manager now. That's when she seen Erin and glared like, what are you doing here? See, Erin never said where he worked, although he was sure they knew. He assumed, or maybe they didn't. Sly seen the stock boy apron covering Erin and said, oh, this is where you've been, huh? That's when the manager showed up. Sly told him Erin wasn't allowed to work there anymore because Erin's grades was failing and Erin was too young and needed to be at home where she could keep an eye on him. He's a troublemaker. You don't need a kid like him working here. He will end up stealing from you and like he was stolen from me. Erin was in shock. How could she say such things when for the second time in the same year she kicked him out of the house and left him living in his car or his grandma's, or didn't even care where he lived. At this point, that's all he had: school, a job, and a car. Of course, he ate and showered at school and sometimes went to his grandma's house, but never said anything about being kicked out again or living in his car to anyone, because not only did he think nobody cared, he also did not want to be made fun of or get his parents in trouble. Aaron's a good kid. Coming back to himself as he heard Sly said, I'm his mother, and what I say goes." Mr. Hall looked confused and said, "Erin is a hard worker, and he's very honest. I don't see him causing any problems." As Sly cut him off, grabbing the apron strings, ripping the bow tie in the back, and pulling it off of Erin, throwing it on the counter, as she grabbed Erin's arm, walking him out of the store, talking under her breath. Erin didn't know what was going on. Sly whirled around once they got outside, and and she said, "Didn't you hear me, you little mofo? Give me your car keys and wait over by the trash cans until your dad gets here to pick up the car," leaving Erin standing in the parking lot confused. Sly got in her car and drove away, lighting a cigarette, just leaving Erin standing there, dazed. That's when Mr. Hall walked up and said, "Here's your last check," and handed Erin the money he earned in cash, and said, "Are you okay, son?" Erin didn't dare speak, because if he did, he would say no and start crying. Instead, he just shrugged his shoulders like Elmo on Sesame Street and put his head down in shame, thinking to himself, how can this woman who claimed to be his mother could not only be so brutally cruel, but say such lies about him when none of it was true, then act like nothing happened and drive away like that? Shaking his head, Erin thanked Mr. Hall for the job he used to have and for the money. Mr. Hall looked at Erin and said, "I'm sorry I had to let you go, son." "That's really your mom?" All Erin could say was, "I think so." Punky finally showed up after the sun went down with the keys to the Toyota and his truck with Shadow in tow. Punky said, "Erin, here, take these keys and follow me back to the house. There's a guy coming to buy the car." Erin said, "What car?" Punky said, "This one," as he put the Toyota keys in Erin's hands. This devastated Erin. Everything he worked so hard for was taken from him in one day, and he had to go back to the same house with her. "No, you're not selling my car," Erin told Punky. "It's mine. I paid you for it. You can't sell my car." Punky just laughed as he said, "Well, now seeing as how it's still in my name and on my insurance, it's still my car. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. So drive it home. The guy I work with is coming to buy it tonight. Your mom said I had to get rid of it." Erin followed Punky back to the house and parked it out front, then asked Punky, "Where do I put my stuff? And where am I going to go since I'm not welcome here or even allowed to stay here?" Let's see the time. Punky said, "Go put it in your room. It's the one by mine and your mom's room now." This was the third time Erin had a different room in the same house, except this time it was right next to his parents' room. Literally, they would walk out of their room into Erin's with only a door separating it. But Erin's room didn't have a door, being that there was 3 doorways, one to the bathroom, one to their room, and a doorway to the living room. Just an open doorway. Not too long after this is when the whole family, Punky, Sly, Erin, and Shadow, made the big move to the other town in the country in a modular housing tract. Erin went and got another job at an auto body shop in town his construction teacher told him about, where this time he bought a 1975 Chevy Love. That was an old work truck for $400, but it needed some work. But Erin drove it home anyway. This time, though, he made sure to put it in his name. When it broke down, though, he had to ride the bus to school but would call Punky for a ride home, which most of the time he'd pick Erin up, or his brother Jay would take him home, or on a rare occasion. This time, though, it was raining so hard out, and Erin called the house, and this time Sly answered the phone. Erin asked, "Can you please come get me? I'm off work and it's raining. Nobody else is answering, and I don't want to walk home in the rain." Being that the place that they lived was 10 miles outside of town. Sly said, "Well, sucks to be you. You're out of luck. I don't feel like driving. You're on your own, mofo." Erin never got used to her verbal assaults, though, or abuse, because this is what she did now instead of physically assaulting him, due to the fact not only was Erin now taller than her and could bench press over 200 pounds, and he played football, she just tortured Erin verbally, thinking if Erin tried anything, she would either call the cops or have Punky beat him up, or both, and then kick him out, which Erin heard all these threats 1,000 times. Anyways, I'm going to end it there, and then I'll pick it up again on the next time. I love you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.